Hey everybody, Jeremy Ballsmith with Towne Housing Real Estate. Today, another episode of Talk of the Town. Today I'm visited by Joan Grassi of APA Solutions. She's one of our key consultants in our business and drives us to success every day. Joan, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
Awesome.
Beautiful sunny day. It's great to be visiting.
Yeah, it's a perfect day. Thanks for coming. Really happy to have you. As I said, you've been so instrumental, not just to the company and its management team, but so many ways to its employees and very much so to myself and to Libby on, personal individual business growth and development. And you often get me yelling and screaming, and you calm me down and you recenter me, and I just can't thank you enough. So really am happy that you're here. And Towne has gone through quite a mess of iterations in 3 to 4 years, and we've come out slowly the other side. So yeah, today we're talking a little bit about rebranding. We've gone through quite a bit this last summer, and all good things. Now I'm in this seat, and how do I breathe some fresh life into this business? And how do we continue to move forward into the future? And you've done a lot to help us get to that point. So thank you for that.
It's been a blast to be on the journey.
It has been a journey.
Yeah, it's been really fun to see, you grow up in such a real and meaningful way, and be thinking about, how the people very much align to your business strategy, and really thoughtful things that in the beginning we don't give thought and consideration to. Like we're just making the donuts, moving. Yeah. So to stop and pause and think, what do we need at this point in our growth, I think is really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And the change of, the tweak and adjustment to branding, right? Giving this a new face and the mission and the values, those are all the exercises we're going through, and you've helped us with up until this point. Really have helped coach me on, listening to the employee, trying to see their perspective and bring those voices into the room to make these decisions for the future. So we've worked a lot on it.
Yeah. And I think so often we don't recognize the importance of a brand, or we do it because it's like an obligation, where we're a species that so connects with something tangible. And now that you're in this really cool iteration of your organization, how does it need to be rebooted? How does it need to be rebranded? But in a real and genuine way, because most people fake it, right? Yeah. They love that fancy tagline, or they'd love to say this, and it's just really not true. And
in this, I'm getting caught. I'm catching myself do that. I'm like, oh, that would sound really sexy. That'd be really cool. And I'm like, all right, well, how real is that? And I passed a set of values past you one day, and you're like, this is so traditional. It's kind of dusty for the company and the team that you are and the way you're headed, and then you propose bold. You're like, you're bold. Right, wrong, or indifferent. We are a bold group of people. And I think you hit that nail on the head. I mean, what got you to that point and that word with this team? Because you came back with that. I'm curious.
And it's really getting you to a place of awareness, right? Because with being part of this organization for a period of time, it's evident that you are more of a minority than you are a majority. And I think often when you are an innovator and you are bold, you think everybody's like that. And I think often the people who surround you put you into that bucket. Like if we were sitting in Silicon Valley, you'd be more of a norm, because that is an environment that really promotes that innovation and boldness. Western New York, it's a completely different community. So that to me very accurately describes you. Is being willing to put yourself out there, take that chance, do something different, which again, we're not designed to do. Yeah. We're actually designed to be traditional. So you've broken those barriers in a really important way.
Yeah. And even internally, though, as a team, I think you've gotten insights watching team members of Towne Housing, when particularly one-on-one, or when I'm not in the room, or when you're coaching them through their problems or their challenges at the time. You've picked up on this bold attitude. I mean, we've had some people come back to the company and say, this is my vision for myself. Or some people at the company say, this is a gap and this is the gap I want to fill. So, they have that level of strength or comfortability to say, this is how I feel and this is what I want to chase after within the organization. And, often it's great to see that as a business owner, but then there's times I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm in alignment with that. But, Jeremy is not Towne. Towne has become its own entity, its own, I guess, heartbeat in a sense.
Yeah. And so, you know that I'm always talking to you about best practices. And what I often see from growth companies like yours is no matter how many changes are happening externally to their business model, what's going on internally with their people, they just really fall in this pattern of staying the same. And I know when you and I first met, one of the first things we did was really talk about your mission. What is your vision? You know, how do you see growth? So why now for a rebranding? What led you to this decision when I had to drag and pull you in to this conversation just a few years ago?
It's a lot's happened since. I mean, I think the substantial...
It's been dog years.
It has.
Dog years.
True.
That's in the Jeremy world. We multiply it by 7.
7, yes. Yeah. I would say a couple major things. Obviously, you know, my father passed away. I think it's very like grounding, sobering,
reflective.
Reflective thing to have happened. It really pulls you out of, you know, whatever you have in motion, and it makes you stop and think like, do I even want to do this? That was the first hump. And after some, you know, mourning and some healing through that whole mess, you know, then we started to experience pressures from the external side of the industry and loss of clients, some sloppy behavior, lost more clients. And you really start to say like, what am I doing wrong? Like now it's like one injury after another. And we started to like kind of rebound. We started to gain our ground again, focus on better systems, really focus on our people, kind of extract the negative energy in our culture and in our group. And I mean, then we took off. In that, we had some opportunities for business growth that didn't pan out. But through that exercise, I then, you know, you look in the mirror and then you think, is this what I want to be doing as you go through merger and acquisition opportunities? Well, James Wanglin also reflected on his life, and we went from 2 young single guys, and he is now married with a beautiful wife and beautiful kids and a home, and he wants to just enjoy, you know, what he's built on the non-business front. So, you know, he reflected, and he and I are still a great relationship. We were just out 2 weeks ago for dinner. He went one way, and I now have Towne solo. So I think it was just one event after another that reminded me, you know, partially who I am, who I didn't want to be, who I wanted to be in the future. And I felt that so much of my personal life had gone through change. How could my company not?
Yeah.
And that was like, you know what? We've shed a lot of skins. And in that, it's time for a little facelift. And I've carried that house logo for 15 years.
Wow.
I love it, but I think it's time for a refresh. So we're coming up with some great things on a visual and an aesthetic basis and website and systems, but also values and mission, and really taking into account all those challenges that we've come through and that I've come through.
Making it visible.
Yeah.
I mean, why now? I mean,
use
based on
that
what
to
you
launch.
Yeah, based on
Correct.
what you just shared, why now is really kind of your metamorphosis,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And making it very visual, making it the symbol.
But also taking all of my managers and directors who were with me and around me through all of my changes and personal struggles and incorporating their voice into it. So now it's not Jeremy 2010 creating a logo and a name and a mission and a brand. It's 83 people chiming in on what that brand is today and what we want it to be in 10 years. So that's the why.
Wow. So we're at a poetic time, at least like in my world, because we're in the fall of 2025 and we have around the corner and way too soon 2026. So talk to me about a bold move, perhaps, again, with this namesake now, this, where do you see yourself going? What would be that?
There are so many big projects. Honestly, I think the nature of the conversation, I would focus on the people. We've done so much to focus on our people, work with them through their challenges, upskill them, train them. We've consolidated departments, eliminated departments, which has left room for me to say, okay, you're now going to move into this sector of the business. They're now learning something new. Cross-training has been huge at Towne. It's helped us with coverage. It's helped us with, giving people grace and space when they need time off, because now there's 3 times as many people who can support them in their absence. Improved our systems to further train our people. And with the consolidation, there's been opportunities where individuals who are part-time or, really not on this huge development track now have a lot of real options to have purpose. And everyone who's gotten that opportunity has taken it, and we're like a bat out of hell right now. And we're refined. We're a smaller group of people. We're a focused, refined group of people. That's been the biggest project. It will be going into the beginning of next year's busy season. And then we're going to hit the ground running hard on the brokerage. Right now, it's just been about reset. And what I've done with, Paul and Ryan and Allison has been great in a very short amount of time. And they all have great ideas. And we're going to continue to focus on those in the winter months and prepare for busy season.
And I think it's important with closing is that change is a bold move. Really listening to what you say, change is incredibly difficult. We always accuse people, but again, often we as a species don't like change. So even having the courage to do all of these things, especially simultaneously, you wonder where the word bold came from. You just outlined it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I look at the Buffalo Bills because the Buffalo Bills, although obviously a sports team, they are great branders. They are great goal-oriented organization in that they have a Super Bowl in mind, but they want to do it within the confines of that family in a very particular way. They want to do it ethically. They want to do it professionally. And again, great buzzwords, but how do you live that? Watch their mantra, "We all eat," which absolutely signifies that every person in that organization is due for what they contribute to that ultimate prize. Yeah. And they're never happy with the playoffs or a win. They want the ring. They want the ring for themselves, and they want the ring for, the broader base of supporters. And I think, again, on a mini scale, similar in that you are surrounded by people that want to do the right thing. Do business in a way that makes a difference in something that's really important to people where they live.
Yeah. And today I heard a lot from the leasing team. They sat with Haley, talked a lot about compassion, talked a lot about the challenges and the stress around moving. Grace was like, my favorite part is helping them make the difficult part easy. Yeah. Right? This is a huge decision to move. And, Haley and Lindsay were talking a lot about compliance and making sure that, yes, we're here to help and we got to follow the rules and operate with integrity too. So that was really cool just on the outside to listen in on that. And, I think at Towne Housing, it's also a matter of making sure everyone's voice is in that problem-solving room, and we're doing better about that too. So a lot more people in that company have that sense of ownership over the company. Sometimes territorial, but in the best way possible. Yeah, and that's good for our customer. It's good for the resident. It's good for the investors that we serve too.
So now when you look at your evolution and you talk about your brand is totally different. Look at who you're surrounded by. Yeah. Look at how you've grown up. Yeah. Not just yourself, but with this group. I mean, that speaks volumes. Yeah. Look at your competitors and where they are. And are they doing what they say? Are they meaning what they say? And that's why I think you being genuine is so important. Because people feel that. They see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have business crushes. You love Wegmans. I love Delta.
I do
I'm
indeed.
A huge Delta fan. I almost wore my Delta shirt today, but then people would give me a hard time. It's an advertisement. And in them, during COVID, they had this saying, their CEO said, people over profits. Yeah. And that was in relation to not just the passengers, but also to the employees. During COVID, keep them safe, keep them protected. We're going to care about people over profit. We're not going to stuff the planes full. And that really resonated with me. That's really why I started committing to them as the airline of my choice. But when I carry that into Towne and we talk about the meaning of people, there's so many levels of that. And who we impact, who we help, and how do we build people up and develop them. And I've talked a lot about our management team. All but one have come from the bottom of the company and worked their way through the ranks, and that has created such a strong impact on the business. And now they're starting to manage in that same way. How do we find people with the right stuff, build them up, give them that chance and that opportunity?
Yeah. And I think it is, making sure that you're identifying and interviewing from a place of values, right? So often we interview from a place of task. What does your background look like? And it was just fascinating in speaking with a group of recently graduated engineers, and the amount of people that said, well, I'm going to Wegmans. And well, engineering, you think Moog, you think manufacturing, you certainly don't think. But again, an organization that's looking for potential, that's looking for values, that are looking to contribute. I mean, they call themselves a people company that is passionate about food. And many naysayers would say that isn't true, but I can't find somebody internally who says that. I think there's a lot of jealousy externally, especially if you're tops.
And that's where we're at too. I mean, get back to Delta. They all fly the same planes, have the same engines, have the same routes and destinations. What they pushed was our people are our differentiating factor. And at Towne, we have the same rentals, same 3-bedroom, upper lowers on the east side, west side. It's the same inventory and stock. We work hard to make our products nicer as nice as we can make them. But at the end of the day, it is an apartment. What changes that residents' experience? Or it is just a building, what changes that investor's experience? And that's what the team is really focused on as we kind of shed our skin and refresh our values, our mission, and our brand. And you've done a great job helping us through that. And still some more work to come. The big unveil is on our horizon, but it's a lot harder than I thought. It's taken many nights of, I'm going to sleep on that for a couple days and come back to that thought. But quite an exercise.
I think, though, from an evolutionary standpoint, that just really signifies the growth. The fact that you have to keep on reinventing yourself in this way is all part of that very natural journey. And I think often we think we've always got to get it right. And the best growth comes from learning when you didn't get it right and not being afraid to lean into that. I see that with a lot of leaders who point fingers. It's this leader, it's this middle management, it's this employee. You're the god, so to speak. And so you're setting the role model, you're setting the example. And so I think it's a real challenge to live your print. So making it as real and as genuine as possible is going to be important.
And being genuine. I mean, I definitely was the pointer. There are periods of time where I'm just, off the rails, and I'm pointing and blaming and kind of identifying who and what went wrong to be in the position we're in. And that was a hurdle to overcome in a fast-growing, high volume, fast paced business, a lot of variables that can go wrong every minute of every day. And then I kind of started to pivot my thinking and say, this is not a Jeremy and Towne housing problem. This is a Jeremy and team problem. And then sharing the real problem, sharing the mess, and sharing, we've got to come to a solution. You almost lose a lot of burden because people share it with you.
Absolutely.
So that's what this last 6 to 9 months has been for me, is really trying to be pump the brakes, take that breath and be like, okay, this might be chaos, but how are we going to navigate it as a team? And the more we do that, the more I do that, it is really, I think, had an impact in a good way.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, when you think of kind of like a drug trial, I think that's such a great example of, we're putting out this product to save lives, but it doesn't mean that it's going to impact people in the same way. Right? There's unique chemistry. There's unique ideologies that are going on, but we want to try to save a majority of people in this way. And so how do we keep on really commandeering it so that we get to that ultimate outcome? And that's how I see this. This has really been this perpetual drug trial for you. And how do you keep on putting these people and these pieces together to get to the best experience? No one can ever live perfect. I mean, that's just not realistic. But how do you, a majority of the time, make a difference for something that's so important to the people you serve?
Yeah. Well, that is our task at hand, and I think we're making good progress at it. So
yes.
Again,
yes.
I appreciate everything you've done for myself and for
appreciate
Towne
you.
and working through this strategy, and can't wait for the big unveil.
Yes, I'll be
Awesome.
there.
Thank you again for coming today.
You are very welcome.
Thanks.